Hi, Purpose-Driven Career Leaders. My name is Kori Burkholder, founder of Purpose-Driven Career Accelerator Program, helping young professionals find and land more purpose-driven work so they can thrive rather than just survive. And today I am here with Katelyn Krieger, who just finished the Purpose-Driven Career Program. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Katelyn, to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Katelyn Krieger. Like Kori said, I went through her program kind of spread it out over the course of the last 6 months to really figure out what I wanted to do next.
Yeah, great. All right, so I'm just going to ask Katelyn just a few questions, just to give those who are watching a sense of what it's like to work together and to go through the program. So, Katelyn, can you tell me what you were struggling with or what you were feeling frustrated about before deciding to work together?
Sure. So I was practicing law at the time, and after about 9 years between law school and working in the legal field, I knew that it wasn't really the environment I wanted to work in or the type of work. But it's not a career that's really easy to transition out of because it's so specific. And when people think of lawyers, you just think someone becomes a lawyer and then you're a lawyer for 50 years. So it's not easy to really leave that profession, even though there are so many skills to take out of it. So for me, just the stress of the law firm environment and the type of work I was doing, I felt like I was almost always going to have a panic attack, just with the day-to-day work there and just the structure of working in a law firm. So I knew I wanted to do something different, but I didn't know what. And so that's why I searched for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when you came in, you knew you wanted to change. You were stressed with the work environment, so you took the leap and you signed up, which was awesome. So what do you think your biggest concerns with prior to signing up or deciding to work together?
I don't think I had any concerns. I was just really excited to explore what I could do next and how your program was set up with kind of the whole discovery phase, because I really just didn't know what I wanted. I kind of had a feeling about types of things I wanted to do, but hadn't really thought about it. So what was the question? What was?
Yeah, did you have any concerns about deciding to work together?
I don't think I really had any concerns. We did our intro call to see if I liked the program, and it just sounded great. And I think that a big part of it is connecting with you and feeling like a connection with you when I talked to you was huge. I didn't feel any pressure that this would be a stressful program. I was trying to get away from that. So I think the concern was just making sure that I got something out of it, that I could figure out what I wanted to do next.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Perfect. So where were you before you started, and as opposed to where you are now?
Well, before I started, I was working in a job that I really didn't like, in a field I didn't like. And so I was using whatever little free time I had to explore things that I liked, like yoga and wellness and all of these other things. But now, after going through this and kind of realizing that field just in so many ways didn't fit in with my personality and my skills and what I wanted to be doing, I think I don't feel any guilt or regret about saying I don't want to be a lawyer. It's not for me. So, I'm somebody that will take these big risks and move across the country or switch careers or do whatever. But this was such a big one that I had someone close to me when then during the pandemic, I stopped working for the law firm. And when I lost my job there, I was very excited to kind of be done with that. But I had someone close to me ask what should I tell family about it? And I'm just tell them the truth. I just didn't feel going through this, knowing it wasn't for me, I didn't feel any like shame or regret that I wasn't going to be working there anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but in the person's mind, they're like, oh, you're leaving the law. Like, what should I tell them? And I'm like, oh, that's what I'm doing.
And how did that feel for you to have that kind of, it almost feels like freedom in a way, where you weren't, tied down to this vision you had of yourself.
Right. Yeah. It definitely felt like freedom and kind of going back to who I was before that, like figuring out like what my actual interests are, and when I have time to myself and time to explore all these things, like what I want to do and like what I enjoy doing.
Yeah. So it was able to bring you back to those things that you feel passionate about.
Yeah.
Right.
And kind of take the focus away from like the accomplishments or the like the linear path of like, you go to school, you do this, you get the next job, you get promoted, and thinking like taking that away and thinking about like what kind of environment I thrive in. Not about the actual job or I don't know, like path, but like where do I want to be? Like what kind of people do I want to work with and things like that.
Yeah. So instead of the career path dictating what it's going to be like for you, you got to actually create the environment and situation that you want to be in.
Right. Exactly. And to think about like not the position that I'd be going for necessarily, but like the type of company and if I would get along with the team and what the environment would be over like what my actual job would look like. Oh, that's important too.
Of course. Yeah. But it's that visioning part that we want to do first before we do the more tactical pieces, right?
Right. Yeah. So it was really helpful to do like all the future self meditations and some of those other like
life purpose.
Yeah.
Life purpose and envisioning your ideal career day and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think was the most impactful part of working together?
I think I'm just looking at like we made like part of your program is making like the Life Star and the Work Star. And I think pulling that all together was the most impactful because it's even the Work Star does like goes through like achievements and strengths and skills, but it makes it more, I don't know, it's just things that I didn't have in one place. Like I didn't think about it before, like things I did 10 years ago in a job that were really impactful, going back to that and like digging into how that would relate to now. I don't know if that makes any sense, but just like
it does.
A piece of paper of like, these are the strengths I want to use or skills I want to use versus all the things I've accumulated throughout my career that maybe are things I don't even want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like throwing all of these pieces of the puzzle together and we're able to kind of look at it and be like, oh, okay, so here are some career options that might really align with this unique blueprint that I have. So we had many ideas, right, in your ideas bank, and we boiled it down to one. So share what that one is, what you've decided.
So I, going through this process, kind of realized I didn't want to work for a big company that has the strict hierarchy. I want to work for something smaller that's more collaborative. So looking through all the work we did in the ideas bank and everything, and looking at job descriptions and skill sets and everything, I really would like to craft kind of a position in a company as a chief of staff that matches whatever they need, but really is like more broad, where I can be more creative, work with leadership, work on something I care about for like a very small set of companies that like align with what I want to do or like my values. And chief of staff is so varied that I realized I needed something that was more, that it didn't have to be like a set skill set, it's whatever that particular company needs from a chief of staff to support their leadership team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you were doing this kind of work earlier on in your career. It might not have been called chief of staff, but you were doing a lot of those skills, and we kept going back to that job. We're just like, I was thriving there. I was doing what I, wanted to be doing, and now you have this unique background that includes law. So you have a really unique skill set.
Yeah, and like going from what I was doing before, which was a similar role, to a chief of staff or to like a director of programs kind of thing, really like operations heavy, to going through law school now, like I understand business so much better that like I don't think I could have made the leap like 10 years ago in that job to like do the job I want to do now without kind of combining like all the experiences I've had.
Yeah, great. So what was something surprising that you weren't expecting to get out of this experience together?
Let's see. I think focusing on like getting away from looking for the career in a way, like going back to figuring out what my interests were and what I enjoyed doing as a kid, and like getting back to like making art and playing music and doing all these things that aren't going to be my career but make me happy. So, and I think some of those kind of fit in to what I want to do. Like some of the things I like to do are in the wellness world and things like that. But I think it was just low pressure, the whole process. Like it wasn't necessarily easy to figure out some of this stuff, but it wasn't all based on like, we're going to redo your resume and get you your next career. It was more so figuring out like what my skills and everything was and what I enjoyed doing.
Yeah, we start on the inside and work outward rather than the more tactical pieces of a resume and LinkedIn, because if you don't know where you're going next, that stuff doesn't even matter. You're just kind of wasting time and money putting effort into that, right?
Exactly.
I think the other thing too which was such a joy, was watching you kind of, volunteer in these different places because, the pandemic and all of these things. And you found a few things that you really cared about and got passionate and were volunteering, which is such a great way to explore other career options, right? And so that was pretty powerful for you, right?
Yeah, that was really powerful. And it also was a way to meet people in my community, like my actual neighborhood that I wouldn't have met before. And yeah, I worked with a couple different organizations that were pandemic based, like a mutual aid and organization that deals with getting people childcare during this time. So really important issues, and like something that I wouldn't have thought to do had I been in my old job or not really trying to explore what could be next.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was also just a way to filter down the ideas in the ideas bank, right? So it's not like when you cross those off the list, you're not like, is that the wrong choice? But you're able to make a decisive decision.
Yes.
That makes sense. Those are two positives, I think, in the same. Yeah. So, all right. So what's next for you? Tell us, what you're working on towards the future now.
Well, I am currently at the step where we went through all the discovery. I know what I'd like to do next. And so trying to put that into words for my LinkedIn and my resume and actually apply to those jobs. But also I've started some of my own little like kind of ventures into different communities that I really care about, and different causes. I started like a new Instagram in the sobriety community in New York to eventually hopefully do events and meet people that way.
Tell us the handle. A plug here, because it's an amazing thing that you've started here for people who have become sober and they don't know what to do outside of the bar. So this is like, yeah, share the handle with us.
It is at Sober in NYC. Eventually I would like to make a website or do a blog or something that connects with that. But as in many cities, especially in New York, everything is kind of surrounded or based upon like drinking. And so when you stop drinking, just finding other people that don't and fun things to do can be a challenge. So I've been following all these other people that have these accounts, and finally was like, I need to make my own to connect with people and to gather a community that way. So
Yeah.
so that's been really great.
And it's something that you're passionate about. You're bringing community together. So you're going to be like meeting people. It's a passion outside of your career, but it could actually work into your career somehow. We don't know yet, but all of these pieces are starting to come together around these things that you're really passionate about and wanting to really make an impact.
Right. And that was the, with figuring out like the Ideas Bank and narrowing down companies I wanted to work for, like so many are based in that space. So figuring out like this was something I wanted to pursue as kind of like a project, kind of made me look at all these companies more closely for like non-alcoholic beverage brands and recovery, like people doing different things in that space. So like half my list of companies is based on that too, of where I'd want to work.
Yeah, that's like you're in alignment, right? It's just like now you know your values and your skills and the strengths that you want to be using, and now it's like, where can I utilize these now moving forward? So we're still in process, but you have a clear vision of where you're going. The pieces are coming together. So another question, like, a lot of people, are considering working with me, right? So what would you say to somebody who might be on the fence?
I think if you're looking to find something more purpose-driven, I think that's the title of the program, but it truly helps you do that because you go through so much before you even think about applying to a new job or changing careers and discovering like what you actually like. Because it took me a while to get from, yes, I have all these interests that I wasn't at the time even pursuing, to what type of company do I want to work for? Because I've talked to a lot of people that are like, I'm ready to work for the big company and make money and learn from them and blah, 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 blah. Whereas like that is not something I want. Like I want to make money, but I want to work for a small company that I can really collaborate with on something that I care about. So just figuring that out like takes time, and this program helps you do that because you're not focusing on like what jobs are available now and do my skills fit into it. It's more about like figuring out what you want to do and something that's purpose driven.
Great.
So.
And you are on the track of that. And you have been throughout your career, but now it's even going to be more in alignment with who you are and what it is that you want and the vision that you have for yourself, for your future, which is amazing. And one last question. What are you most proud of, of accomplishing in these past 6 months? It could be related, to this or something else. We've been through a lot in the last 6 months, so.
Yeah, last 6 months, related to this program, it would be figuring out kind of exactly the direction I want to go in, whether we don't really know where I'll land yet, but getting to the point where I'm feeling more confident about talking to people and saying like, oh, I'm not practicing law anymore. I want to do this, or this, or these are my interests, or I want to open a yoga studio someday, and connecting with people about that. Whereas before I wasn't really talking to anyone about it. And then just personally starting that Instagram, pursuing more creative things. Getting involved in those communities, especially during the pandemic, because I was alone in my apartment for months. So.
Well, you took advantage of the time, which was really good. The perfect time to be doing this work.
Yes.
All right, Katelyn, well, thank you so much. It was such an honor to work with you and to see you just kind of bloom over these last 6 months. I can't wait to see where your career goes after this. I know you're going to be super successful in your chosen path. And Thank you so much.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in touch.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.